Welcome to Educating Geeks, the show where friends help friends discover new passions. I'm geek host Megan, and today at the table we have
Cassie,
Bree, Sarah,
and Alice.
So today we're doing a little bit of a different episode from what we've done so far. We're going to talk about a video game, and for whatever reason we chose kind of a strange video game to start out with.
It's all Megan's fault.
Yep. Mostly because I have a lot of experience with this game. But we're going to talk about Katamari Damacy, or some of the other Katamari games, because we didn't just play Damacy.
Yeah.
Was I the only one that had heard of this?
I was the one that originally brought it up, and then everybody else was like, "Yay!" So
no, I'd never heard of it
before. So you'd never heard of it?
I'd never heard of it before. Never,
I hadn't heard of it.
I'd heard of it, but I had never tried playing it because I was like, "Oh, you just roll a ball around. Like, it doesn't. What is this? No."
That's so funny because I had the opposite reaction to it when my husband showed it to me. I was like, "You roll a ball around and stuff sticks to it." Yes. But you knew about it. Had you played it before?
So I used to date a guy that played a bunch of video games, and I've never, besides like Mario 3 and on like in original Nintendo, I really never played video games. But I watched him play so many video games, and I fell in love with like Kingdom Hearts, and Katamari was another one that I just loved to sit and watch him play. And one time at a party at his house, somebody had the PlayStation on, and they're like, "Here, let's play Katamari." And somebody gave me the controls, and I was like, I don't really feel like going through the tutorial. And I didn't get very far because I didn't know how to work the controls. So I'm like, played for like 3 minutes, and I'm like, here, you play, to somebody else. So I technically played, but I'd not really played.
Well, that explains why you had an intuitive...
Yeah. No, not at all. Like, because I gave it up the first time.
But you had watched it.
That's where you'd watch somebody else play.
So
you kind of knew.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like the motion behind...
In the jumping.
Moving the Katamari. It's an art form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our idiot savants there.
We're going to have to take that title away.
Yeah, we didn't know you had inside knowledge.
You guys knew.
Oh, well, that's why we're here to talk about it.
It's good that more than one person is familiar with it.
Yeah, I felt kind of bad when I was writing up my notes this morning. I was like, did I totally hijack this topic?
Awesome. It would have been awesome if you did anyway, because I don't know that. I mean, I just watched him play a few times.
Oh, well, it's a fun game. Yeah, Matt, my husband, he, I guess, had read about it in a couple of the video game magazines that he reads and on some of the websites that he visits, and he went to GDC for a couple years, and while he was there, he saw like a giant Katamari...
What's GDC?
Game Developers Conference.
Okay.
And, we were at a Best Buy one day, and it was on the shelf, and so he was like, we should check this out, it looks kind of strange, and it ended up taking over many hours of my life.
Yeah, that explains why the planet had so many completed levels.
Oh, yeah.
You were
finished
like
every game.
the one that you showed us when you got super advanced, and you were like, oh, yeah, this should take 25... You have 25 minutes for this, but it usually takes me like 12 or 15. I was like, 25 minutes? Like... I can understand, sitting down and, 3 hours later, you're like, oh, crap, look where the time went. But this is one of the reasons why I sit down and I watch TV shows and not movies, is because I look at a movie and I'm like, oh, 90 minutes is a lot of time to invest. I'm just going to watch this 45-minute show. And then I end up watching, 3 seasons. 4 of them in a row. 3 seasons in a week.
2 days later, Sarah steps out into the sunlight.
Like that episode of Portlandia.
But if I had sat down in front of Katamari and was like, "Oh, this level is gonna take 25 minutes," I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't. But yeah,
when Megan said 25 minutes, I was like, we're not going to sit here for 25
I know.
minutes watching somebody else play Katamari. But we were like, get the rainbow, get the rainbow.
Yeah, we all had our requests.
Yeah. We need an octopus and a rainbow, and you took that bird away from that crocodile, so I need you to give him back to him.
Can you get that cloud? Can you get those clouds?
That was the fun of it, because we sat down and played yesterday, and you ladies just played some of the earlier levels, which is why I really wanted to play that one. I felt kind of bad because it's a long level. But I wanted you guys to see everything, and it was so funny. You guys were just like, can you pick that up? Yeah, I can pick that up.
Just give me time.
I'm going to pick up everything.
I was skeptical that was enough time. Now, granted, I'm the worst of the bunch in terms of playing, but I still was like, how are you going to do that? But once you hit a certain size, you just started getting it all.
Yeah, it's a mathematical equation, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, once you hit a certain level, like, it just keeps... because now you're picking up buildings, and, you start adding buildings to your mass. Like, that's a lot of mass to add to a giant rolling ball.
At the same time, it's got to be difficult to maneuver.
It does get a little bit difficult. I think you experienced it. Like, at certain sizes, it gets difficult to maneuver. And you guys kind of saw that when...
Yeah, absolutely. Even at the little itty-bitty sizes we were working with.
Yeah, because you'll get, kind of to an awkward stage where you picked up, it seems like, everything that you can pick up at that size, and you're just too small to pick up bigger things, but it's like, you'll eventually get there. So the point of the game,
is to roll around a sticky ball and pick shit up.
Yeah.
That's what the game. That's the basic premise of the game.
But you have to explain the dynamics between
and I've got notes on the story.
Well, I'm all for the short summary. So that's my short summary. You roll around a sticky ball and you pick shit up.
Yeah. And you literally pick up everything. Like, you start out, picking up thumbtacks and ants, and then you can pick up cats and umbrellas, and then you can pick up trees and mountains.
Did you guys afterwards find yourself looking around at things and being like, if I had a Katamari with me right now, like, I'd be able to pick up these things, but I'd have to work my way up to that.
I'm gonna do that now.
I often wish I had Katamari when it's time to clean up. Just be like, God, I just want to do this really fast. I don't really care about any of this crap. Just like, get it on the Katamari and get it out of the house. So, there is a story to Katamari.
It's kind of.
It's kind of like
so
porn,
strange.
where you're like, here's the meat, and then like, oh, here's some other stuff going on.
It's the fluff.
The fluff.
Yeah. So the story in the original, we played Katamari Damacy, the original, which was on the PlayStation 2, and then we played Katamari Forever on the PlayStation 3, which has the same story but different. It's kind of like a soap opera, where the same shit just keeps happening over and over again. But the King of All Cosmos, this giant guy with like a cylindrical head.
And a big package.
Yeah.
Yes.
A Bowie-esque
package
with a giant cat belt buckle.
Yes.
I want that belt buckle.
We should cosplay that.
And
I would happily be the king.
I mentioned this. I see every year at Phoenix Comic Con, I see a couple people cosplaying Katamari. Like, I've seen several Kings of All Cosmos, I've seen a couple queens, and I've seen a handful of princes. Like, there are fans out there.
When I was a sophomore or junior in high school, I can't remember, but it was the first, like, anime convention in Phoenix or something, and somebody was dressed up as the prince.
Yeah.
Like, I always see people cosplaying from this video game.
Because it's just so cute.
The prince is adorable.
The prince is adorable, and you guys didn't see a lot of them, but he has cousins that you roll them up in the game, and then you can play as the cousins. And a lot of the cousins are really cute. Like, there's one that looks like a strawberry. There's one that looks like a little disco ball, and he's got lights that flash all over. Maybe that one.
There's a gay cousin.
I thought that was
Possibly.
a little more.
He's the gay stereotype cousin.
Yeah.
He's all disco. There's one that looks like Mount Fuji. There's like 20 or 30 of them. It's fun to play as the different characters. So the King of All Cosmos goes like nuts and flies into outer space and destroys all of the stars and the moon.
Apparently it was a drinking binge.
Wikipedia. Yeah, according to Wikipedia, he was drunk. I don't recall seeing that in the game.
He really is the worst father.
Retweeted. He's drunk on power.
He was the worst father.
So he sends his son, the prince, that tiny little green dude, to clean up his mess and put all the stars back in the sky. And that's why you've got this giant sticky ball rolling shit up, because once it reaches a certain size, the king is able to put it back in the sky and it becomes a star. Or constellations, because there are some missions we didn't get to where instead of just picking up as much stuff as you can in a limited amount of time, you'll have, like, pick up 100 swans, and then he'll turn that into the constellation Cygnus.
Okay.
So there is a variety in the missions, but it's pretty much the same across the board. And then in Katamari Forever, the story is that the king gets whacked in the head, and he has amnesia, and so you play levels from the previous games to help him regain his memories. And because
it's like a cheesy soap opera plot.
Yes, exactly.
It very much is. And every time, it's funny, he doesn't forget how to be a douche.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh my god, he's a
That's-
terrible father.
You remember
It's not
it
like
that much.
Eric from True Blood where he gets amnesia and he's
Sweet.
totally nice, awesome dude. He's still a dick without his memories.
I don't like Sweet Eric. Anyway, tangent. Yeah, he's a big douche.
He is. He's horrible to his son.
Yesterday when we played, Cassie, you were the first newbie, the first Katamari virgin out of the gate.
Yes.
Since it's easy to throw around the sexual innuendo when playing this game.
Yes, it is.
What were your initial impressions?
Well, I haven't played video games regularly in years. I play occasionally, but yeah, like I play a game with my brother and my sister called the Melee, the Mario Brothers Melee game or whatever it is.
Super Mario Brothers. Smash.
Smash
Brothers.
Yeah, Super Smash. Yeah, Smash Brothers. I've played that, and
There should
I
be
always
Katamari characters in that.
there should be.
I mean, it's Namco. They've got other Namco characters
Yeah.
in that game.
They do, and it's a fun game, but I suck at that game as well. So I wasn't surprised that I suck at this one a little bit. But getting the movement down, which seems simple. I just struggled with it a little bit, but I still wanted to like keep playing it so it could become a bit more second nature. Like it
I think
was.
that's so true about controllers in general, though. You know, until you have enough,
Muscle
call
memory.
it touch time, muscle memory. Thank you. That it is hard to internalize those controls. You know, just like on a regular keyboard, if you have to S, F, whatever the four
my
are
God.
for movement on a
Yeah.
game. And you see guys who play those games professionally, and their fingers are just like doing stuff that you can't even imagine. You know, I think even on a regular game controller, the same thing is true. So
That's
I think
why-
with practice, you
yeah.
would have been just fine.
Right, yeah, just a bit
Well,
more
like-
practice.
Like, I played BioShock on both the Xbox and a computer, and I was really good on the Xbox and really bad on the computer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's
that's
like
why I was
cheating.
like, I quit the first time. When I was like 3 minutes in, I was like, I don't understand these controllers.
Well, in the double joystick, for those who don't know how the controls work, at least on the PlayStation, which is where we played, you use both of the joysticks as opposed to the D-pad and one of the joysticks, or the joystick and the X, circle, square,
Right,
triangle
yeah.
buttons, which is pretty unique among PlayStation games, I think. So you're literally just using both joysticks at the same time to go forward. You have to push both of them forward and, back. And there's other intricacies to it, but it's very
Yeah.
unique.
And when I played PlayStation as a kid, I don't think I played one game that used both joysticks.
yeah,
I
I
remember
think
wondering,
it's the only game.
Why-
I've
why
ever
do they even
played.
have them?
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
I have
I
two
did.
joysticks.
When like for RPGs and stuff,
Yeah.
because I would use both joysticks when I was playing, like,
One's camera.
Chrono
sometimes.
Cross, yeah. So,
Mm,
like,
oh, yeah,
it
that's
would
right.
make it easier for me to navigate and turn my head back and forth.
But
Well, this
using
is the same,
both
like,
wasn't.
if I'm doing like Star Wars: The Old Republic and I'm mousing and moving and looking
Yeah,
at
it's
the
like
same time,
it'll be
which
like
takes a long time to get
your
down, at least for
movement
me.
and your camera, or
Right.
maybe your weapon, and aiming it.
But
So,
at least that right one, I'm assuming, or left one, whichever one is the secondary, is like not required to move forward.
yeah, typically, typically if you're using both joysticks at the same time, it's a very different mechanic than what exists in Katamari.
Yeah.
But yeah, the idea behind it is that the prince has two hands on the
Right.
Katamari at all times, and so each joystick represents one of his hands, which is, it
Scientifically
works.
makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it makes sense. But
And it makes for good dance moves.
you can see the prince all zoomed up in the bottom right-hand corner. He's always doing cute.
He's
We're all
so
over here
cute.
doing little dance moves.
The way it really struck me was it played more like a mini game than
Yeah.
a video game, because if you play like not Super Smash Brothers, Mario Party,
Yeah.
they have like crazy weird controls that you're not expected to do very long.
That is a fun game. We should do a Mario Party.
Oh my gosh,
Okay.
I love Mario Party, but Mario Party ruins friendships.
Katamari doesn't.
I know, it
Katamari
brings
did
people
not ruin
together.
It does.
We were all still friends.
Everyone's rooting for, get that thing right there!
To the left, oh, down there.
Even I was doing it, like, watching you guys play, be like, oh, you just need to get that one thing and they'll be able to get everything else!
One thing I noticed, I don't know if it's just because we're girls, I hate to make, like, gender stereotypes, but we were all, like, super encouraging of each other. We were like, you can do it! It's okay! Like,
Don't get frustrated.
It was ridiculous
It's also
how nice we were.
necessity because the king was so mean. We'd be like, don't listen to him.
You're
You're doing fine.
Don't let him call you names. Sister, come on.
Total solidarity.
I love the king of all cosmos. He says the best things, and he gets so butthurt so easily. Like, after everyone had kind of figured out how the game works, at the beginning of every level, he's, like, telling you instructions, and we would all, as normal, just be like, shut up, I want to roll. And if you ignore him and start rolling, he starts saying the things like, oh, fine, ignore me. I'll go sit over here in the corner.
He's such a baby.
He needs so much
He
attention.
does. He talks a hell of a lot.
He does.
What
yes.
are some of the things that he says that are just really, like, demeaning?
Demeaning.
Well, the whole bit where Bree failed the level.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
I failed
God.
And it's like raining.
Thunder,
and he's
lightning.
like, kowtowing, and the little prince is like bowing in front of him.
Well,
and
he's terrified.
flashing.
He
and
destroyed all of the stars in the sky and the moon simply because he was drunk or whatever.
Then he needs to get off his ass and fix it himself.
Yeah, he's the king of
Not
all
the 5
cosmos.
centimeter
He's gonna be like, hey son, I haven't seen you in forever.
roll a Katamari!
He did say that. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Oh, craziness.
Yeah, he says all kinds of things.
In the one
Yeah,
that
he was berating me. He's like, oh, you think women must like small,
that's
cute
right.
guys, like, and he's like, why are you acting like this? Are you going through puberty? Like,
horrible thing.
Are you in love?
Yeah, are you in love?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I understand that. I forgive you. Like,
but get your shit together.
That's right. Roll me a Katamari
Yeah.
now.
I mean, it's literally fire and brimstone if you mess up.
Yes.
And in the third one, it's actually a little mini game because the lava rocks come out of the volcano
Yeah,
behind
that was
him,
happening to me.
and you can dodge them. And the longer you dodge them, your score goes up.
Yeah.
So
See,
it
I
turns
couldn't
it
dodge
into a
them.
little mini game.
Because the of course the rocks. This is like a common thing in games. The
Yeah.
rocks would bounce and then they become smaller and
Yep.
they fly and they multiply. And I'm like running, and every time he got hit, he got smaller
Yeah, it gets smaller.
until he
Which
finally died.
It can be an advantage for that little mini game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's tough. It's tough to stay alive
I
in
was
there.
like, man, what is this dude doing? He says he loves him.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't.
No.
It's
He
very
loves
conditional.
himself. He loves himself.
Oh, I'm getting all deep psychological.
Oh
with
my
this.
God.
and it's not me for once.
Oh.
We just feel for this little guy.
You're gonna be a ballerina. Like, no.
And then
Bree, were you up
interesting.
next? You were up next. That's right. You were up
Yeah.
next, and you were like, "I don't need the tutorial. I'm just going for it."
And she did.
And she did, and she was really good.
Thank you. I don't know if I had quite that much sass about it, but
Come on, you were doing your best R2D2. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it was kind of like initially weird, but I got what they were trying to do with the 2 joystick thing.
Right.
So I wasn't very good at turning, but I knew how to push the 2 joysticks in to jump to the other side.
Yeah.
So it all ended up okay.
That is a key mechanic.
Yeah, that's one thing I skipped in the tutorial.
I was just
Didn't really do well.
I just really wanted to be able to start rolling up animals. Like,
Yeah, Bree was the one. Get the ants! Can you get the ants?
Yeah.
And then I
I want to
tweeted,
roll up that cat.
when somebody rolls that cat, I'm going to be ecstatic.
and I was.
And then the squid, were you the one that was like, get the squid for
I
Megan?
don't know.
There were
You were
octopuses
all
and
yelling
squids.
about the squid.
Yeah.
I have a thing for
I didn't want the squid
cephalopods.
because the squid freaked me out, but I liked other things.
I was all
Well,
about
yeah.
rainbow.
So shall we talk
Yes.
about poor Cassie's
Which part?
Which part? All the gross things.
Oh, yeah. What was it?
Yeah, we kept rolling stuff up. I don't
didn't like sushi.
Yes.
I didn't like the shrimp because the shrimp looked like a corn dog. And I was told that was tempura.
Yeah,
but
it's tempura shrimp.
It looked like a corn dog.
She didn't like the tomago.
I didn't like, the egg
A lot of
sushi.
the weird Japanese food was really nice.
Yeah, I was like, why? But that's...
Yeah.
It's everything. Earth is full of things.
Yes,
As
yes,
Ian told us
we were.
multiple times. Earth is full of
Indeed.
things. So it was all random stuff that...
Well, but that's
It was
it's
funny.
life, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's pretty
Yeah.
accurate.
Yeah, Katamari is definitely an existential version of
Yeah.
Except for like the rain gods and the Gojira creatures.
Yes, those creepy things. What was that tall, like bird-like thing? Was that Godzilla?
It wasn't Godzilla, but it was
like-
a Godzilla
like
Yeah.
monster.
type dude.
Like a
Yeah.
Gamera Godzilla
Yes.
type giant lizard.
Yeah,
he
he
was
was
going to
creepy.
destroy it. And actually, when we got started, you guys were like, "You're destroying everything like Godzilla," and then like
And there's
5 minutes
Godzilla.
later, there's Godzilla.
And he was probably really pissed because you stole his thunder.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, nah.
Got a giant Katamari. Of course, I'm going to steal his thunder. That dude needs to be rolled up.
That's right, and he was, along with like 9,000 other
Everything else.
things.
I'm bummed I didn't roll up Mount Fuji at the end of that level. That's like the key.
I was gonna ask about that because I had
Yes.
seen it on the cover,
Yes.
and I was like, "Do you think like maybe you'd be able to roll up Mount Fuji if you got
Yes.
there?"
And that's like the key to getting your best record in the roll up the moon. If you can get Mount Fuji, it adds quite a bit of mass
I
to
would
your
think so.
Katamari. Yeah.
I think so. So I think I was up next,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I didn't do the tutorial either. I was not as much of a out of the gate gal as Bree was. What I found was I was okay. I guess I'm like a little panicker in games, which is something I struggled with in martial arts for the 10 years I studied. Is that the things like jumping to the other side or simply walking to the other side and then pushing, those controls were the ones that I was always too like, no, I gotta get the stuff! That I wasn't like, no, Alice, be clear-headed and stop and think about how to position yourself appropriately. Those were definitely the things that I struggled with.
You were the one that moved yourself the most, too, when you were trying to move the dude.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yes,
Like
I did.
physically leaning from
Physically
side to
leaning
side.
and, yes,
I
exactly.
think of that as race carring.
Yes.
Like if you're watching the races, you're always like, and into the right. Or
That
when
is
you're
true.
watching an intense movie and the Millennium Falcon's like banking, you're like, oh god!
Oh man, I wish we could have filmed that.
Yes.
This episode would have been, and watching us play would have been a great video podcast. Like,
Yeah.
just because all of the dancing and the moving and the dancing.
And lots of
Yes.
dancing.
It
Lots
was
of
fun.
dancing.
I just really dig that character. I feel
The
like,
little prince.
yeah, he's just so cute.
He's a sweetheart.
He's a cute
So
little.
then, Sarah, you went after me, and you did do the tutorial.
I
this
did
time.
do the tutorial, and I spent a lot of time on it.
You were intent on that.
Well, that's
Because
why
of
I
our
didn't
previous
play it the
experience.
first time.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I was like, and I wanted to play it, and I wanted to be good at it. But that's me. I'm like, super prepare, and I sit back and I watch and I observe, and then I like plan mentally and prepare, and then I'm awesome. I could not fail.
Well, and you did, you got into your level and you were like, bam,
Yeah.
I've got it.
And she was good at the stuff that I sucked at. So you were good at jumping to the other side and positioning your guy to roll in a
Yeah.
better direction.
And that came from, and I mean, I don't play. I'm not a gamer. I just watch people play. But I did have a DS, and I played like the Nintendo 64 Mario on it.
Okay, I would just like to interrupt Sarah for just a moment because I can't count the number of times that I've been sitting next to her and that she's playing Angry Birds.
Angry Birds is Angry Birds, though.
It's a
not
game.
like
It is.
Halo
It's a game.
or.
But that's I really disagree with that notion that you can't call yourself a gamer. To me that's that whole
Really?
geek elitist thing that happens. You can't be a gamer unless you play WoW or
Yeah,
StarCraft or Halo
If you
or
only play casual games,
and you're not a real gamer.
Like, there's
I really
still
hate that
physics and
attitude.
stuff to figure out. Like, you're still doing problem solving. or-
Absolutely.
You
It'd
just
be
don't
like,
have any
pool.
genre.
That's
Okay.
just a pushover game.
And
Pool,
I'm-
it's, easy.
I'm an Angry Birds gamer then.
You are.
Angry Birds style gamer. But with the Nintendo 64 Mario, I remember struggling with the, like, looking around in the 3D and how can I quickly do, turn 180 degrees. And so when Katamari gave me the option to do, like, a backflip jump or whatever, so that I could just immediately get on the other side of the ball, I was like, yeah, this is awesome. So I didn't, like, and I was terrible at the, like, moving the arms so that he just walked around the ball to the other side. So I was like, anytime I could use the jump, I did.
Yeah, that mechanic's a little tougher to deal with. That's why I was like, everyone learn the jump. Like, the jump will save your life. Like, if you can just get to the opposite side and go in the opposite direction.
Right, because you got where you were by coming in the opposite direction.
Yeah,
Right.
so
Push
just
yourself
turn around.
out. Right.
When you're in a corner, just get out of it.
I ended up wasting a lot of time by walking around the ball a lot.
Yeah.
I wasted time by trying to back up with the ball.
Yeah, and it's
That's so
hard
slow.
not to.
Oh my god.
That's
so
that's
dumb.
something that I struggle with. Like, I put way too many hours into Katamari. Like, it's more than like 40, 60 something hours. Like, it's a lot of hours of Katamari. And going backwards is one of my biggest issues. Like, you gotta go forward.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta
He's so
go
cute.
Well,
forward.
that's because you were
God.
telling me.
I know, right?
I know, right? You gotta go because you were like, Alice, if you just keep going in that big circle,
Yeah.
you'll eventually pick up enough shit to pick up the next biggest shit. Which, okay, oh my god, I just realized this. That's my thing about WoW. Here's my very short, because I like the brief. This is to me, this is what WoW is. You kill shit. You pick shit up. You run to town. You sell that shit so you can buy bigger shit. So you can kill bigger shit. So you can pick bigger shit up and run to town and sell that shit and get bigger shit. And that's
It's
all
a
you
cycle.
do. It's a
Yeah.
cycle. In Katamari, it's the same way. You just, you go in a circle and you
Yeah.
pick shit up.
Find your circular path and
And
every
you pick
level,
bigger shit up.
You
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
Except it's cuter.
It is way cuter
It's
than WoW,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Less bloody. One of the other things I liked about
Except
the
for all
jump
those
feature.
screaming people.
Oh yeah. Well,
Who were eventually silenced once you started picking up buildings.
That's right, they crushed in the
Yeah.
maps.
That's totally
Yep.
crushed.
Dark.
Okay,
When-
sorry.
One of the things that I liked about the jump feature that I kind of stumbled upon was that I was on an edge and there wasn't room for me to jump
Oh, no.
to the other side, so it just pulled me off of the edge
Yes.
and I fell down to the lower level, and that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
It didn't break up anything and it didn't kill me, and I didn't get squashed by my Katamari.
Veterans, he can fall a long way and be totally fine.
He never dies.
No, he doesn't. He just gets in trouble. He just gets in trouble.
His little snorkel when he was underwater.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like his snorkel. Well, and if you're doing really well in a level, he starts throwing confetti. And
Aw.
That's kind of fun, too.
Yeah, I would have liked a bit more of his story, his development from the beginning. I know you said that once you get further into the game, each game, there's a bit more of an impetus for him to succeed.
Well, I mean, he's just doing better. His dad's not yelling at him as much.
Yeah, but I thought you said there's like a love interest or something later down the road. No?
Like
I think
a girlfriend
that's just us being in love with him.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
Probably.
He's one of my video game boyfriends.
Now, there is a princess or a
There's
queen.
a queen.
Okay,
So
there's
the
a queen.
king has a wife, the queen of all cosmos.
Is she like the super codependent, like enabler? Like, oh honey, we'll just have our son clean up your messes.
Well, when
She
in the
seems
third
like it.
one, she's baking him cookies and bringing him cookies when he's got amnesia.
And she trips, and the
She
cookies
trips
all
and they
fall on his face.
fall in his face.
In his
Yeah.
head.
Yeah.
I think she's just like, I don't know if she had a choice in her marriage. I think she
Wow.
Is it an arranged
Wow.
marriage?
We're getting really deep. She's always smiling.
She's
Oh, yeah.
just like,
No, you have
Oh, so maybe
to.
she's like a Stepford wife.
She's a Stepford. She has the
Well,
dead eyes
Valley
of
of the
someone.
Dolls. You know,
Yeah,
she's
no,
popping
you have
pills.
to if you're
Yeah.
with somebody that volatile, like who'll just get drunk and destroy all the stars on the
I'm
planet.
just gonna go over here and make some cookies.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Drink some cocktails, take care of myself.
Go and have your killing spree. It's fine. I'm just gonna enjoy the kitchen with the kids and the cousins. I don't have time for you right now. I like her dress, Brie. I think when she came on, you're like, her costume is awesome. She's got that big pink poofy dress. She's so pretty. She's very pretty.
For somebody with a big cylinder head.
She's very pretty. Yes.
I liked how that she wasn't like super feminized. Like, super wide hips or super big boobs. Like she wasn't
kinda looked like the
Barbie-ized.
king.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
Shaped very similarly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except for the
Sam's package, yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds
Well, she
bad.
might have had one, just her dress was kind of puffy.
That's really progressive.
And unlikely.
Yes, and I'm like, thank you for pulling it back. Thank you.
Well, I noticed some. Did you have any notes about the story that you wanted to cover before?
Well, yeah, one of the parts of the stories that you guys didn't really get to see, and Cassie, your comment about people being crushed in the buildings made me think of this. Is there's a secondary story, at least in the first one, about this family called the Hoshinos, and I got this from Wikipedia because I didn't know their names. But the dad was an astronaut, and he was supposed to go to the moon on a space mission. And when the king destroys everything, he can't go, and the world is in panic, like, what happened to the stars? Oh no! So, again, people, this is a Japanese game. So it's a little strange. So, you know, it kind of follows the family as the stars are coming back. And the little girl in the family, she's got, like, this cosmic power that she can sense what's going on. And every time you finish a level and there's more stars in the sky, there's this little cutscene where she's like, I feel it. I feel the cosmos. And
Oh my
Awesome.
God.
and then she'll say something about, like, sickness has returned to the sky.
See, she could have been the prince's love interest.
She could have been.
Come on.
But yeah, so, you know. But
Too late
the family gets rolled up when he creates the moon. Because obviously he rolls up everything. So they get rolled up.
So that
So
astronaut
they do
fulfills
get to
his
go to the moon.
purpose.
That's right!
Yes.
Gets to be
He
the
does.
moon.
He gets to
Gets to
be
be a
the
part of
moon.
That's horrifying.
Right?
He's dead by the time they get there, if that's any
Oh
consolation.
my god.
Laughing at genocide.
Oh, no.
But it's like indiscriminate, though. It's not like
Yeah.
he's targeting anyone.
No,
Yeah.
it's just, well, I
if
need
you're
to
in
put
his
that stuff
way.
back
That's
up
why we
there.
call him a terrorist. Really.
Yeah, well, because he at the beginning of the earlier levels that we played, do you like the Philippines? Have you ever been to the Netherlands?
Mhm.
Oh, yes, he's very prolific in terms of how many languages he knows. He knows,
Mhm.
like, every language.
The king?
Yeah.
The king, yeah.
He
He
speaks...
doesn't know English very well.
Loading.
Well, and not being a speaker of the other languages, they actually put up, like you guys saw him speaking.
Yeah, we were
a little
trying
bit
to
of
speak them as
Esperanto
well.
and
Yeah.
Tagalog. I had no idea how.
Did
You just say Tagalog?
I did.
Yes, which is what I was doing yesterday.
I'm
And
terrible.
who was the
What
one who
is
made the
the-
comment
what is
about
the-
the Girl Scout
Tagalog.
cookies?
Yeah.
Sarah.
Tagalongs are
Tagalog.
Girl Scout
Tagalog.
cookies. Tagalog
Like,
is
is
the
the
language.
Okay.
Because I was doing it wrong
It's because
yesterday.
Oh
we
my
made
God.
the joke. Because the
Yeah,
joke was
no, I
made
know.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, and I was chasing
You
dogs.
seeded it. Yeah.
But yes, all the languages they speak, I have no idea how accurate the language.
The
that
actual
they give them.
translations
Yeah.
are,
I'm
yeah.
sure it's just as bad as the
As the
English.
English.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you guys noticed definitely right away the sexual innuendo in the way that
Oh
he
my
talks.
Oh,
goodness.
it's just.
Oh, I wrote it down.
How could you not?
Yeah, some of the it was
Yeah.
very
Unless you were maybe 5.
Yeah.
Then you maybe wouldn't pick up on it. but-
right. It was
Does the
interesting.
prince like vibration?
Oh.
Referring to the
The
vibrating controller when you
Yes.
bang up against something.
Yeah.
I like
Wait,
going
what?
on
What?
natural.
When you do what?
When you do what? You bang up against something?
Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys.
Sorry.
If I can't be
Not sorry,
counted
not sorry.
to catch something like that, at least Alice can. That's why I love
Free
you.
caught it
It's the
too.
gift that keeps on giving.
Let's see. Yes, we were very naughty. Completely naughty. But it was quite good. Not that we can remember clearly, but we were all in nature's embrace.
Yes.
I mean, really?
Yeah. Total acid trip.
Yeah.
And then the whole, make it bigger.
Yeah.
The whole time.
Yeah.
Make it bigger.
No, and all he was doing was talking about rolling. He's like, yes, we all need to roll. And I'm just like, this is about E. This whole,
Yeah.
this whole video game is about rolling.
Yeah.
Well, and then it was...
It's not even subtle.
Yeah, no, there was some kind of weird mushroom trip, and everybody was high, and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely.
That whole intro, I think.
The whole
You
intro.
found
Does
that
he make
immediately.
more kind of druggy references.
Oh, it never stops.
Everything he says,
Yeah,
yes.
basically.
It's all
Everything he says can be construed
Interpreted.
in a sexual or drug-related. Yeah, he's the king of all. He's just gonna say whatever he wants to. He's the king of all cosmos. He doesn't
Must
have to
be
worry
nice.
about how you interpret his language.
substantial, yet goes down smooth.
God.
That was a big
That was
one.
bad.
Oh, and he always refers to himself in the royal we.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's all capitalized.
It's all
Yeah.
capitalized.
We,
yes.
us,
Yeah.
Yeah.
our.
At first, I was talking about him. I thought he was talking about himself
Me
and
too.
the queen. And then I realized, like, nope, he's just talking about himself.
Oh, yeah, I thought it was just himself.
The royal we.
Nut bar.
So would everyone play again?
I don't
Yes.
know,
Yeah.
It's so
me too.
addicting, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
And it's so satisfying.
And it's one that I play with Ray. You know,
Yeah.
he won't get the sexual innuendo for a few more years.
It'll just push it right
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Jumbo Men.
Oh, that's
Good
cool.
job.
I feel like that could have been a spin-off game or something.
The Jumbo. Did I miss the Jumbo Men after
They
I
were the
left?
guys that were rolling.
You might have. It was in the third. It was in the,
Yeah.
They were the
rolling.
guys that were rolling.
it was in
Yeah.
the second.
So yeah,
Oh,
so
did
I
you
only
leave
played the
before?
first one.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I only played the first one because I had to go pick up Ray.
There are these three guys, yellow, red, blue. They were like kind of robotic looking, but they're
And, like,
in the
Power Rangers.
Yeah,
coming
they're
too.
like Power Rangers. Yeah.
And they make an appearance in the first game. Like the Japanese family, like the kids are watching them on TV. So they're characters that have been in the game since the beginning. But I guess they like kind of take more center stage in the third one.
Yeah, they had a cool dynamic. There's a lot of like discussion between them about things.
I had no idea what they're talking
Oh,
about.
didn't
yeah.
know.
And
Not
didn't
a
I make
word
that
they
comment?
said.
Does this make sense? No.
No.
Does it? No, it's Japanese. Does it make sense to the Japanese even? No.
And they're totally
It
happy. with
doesn't have to. It looks awesome.
Yeah.
It just it reminded me of again some kind of trip. There was on the second little Jumbo Men episode that we saw, there was a guy bouncing on a scale, sitting like in lotus position, playing a sitar, like one of the Jumbo Men.
Yes.
And then
Pink
so
one.
like something was like on the scale would drop on the other side of the
They
scale,
were the
like
Dragon Balls.
the Dragon Balls. Okay.
Oh,
And then he would jump up, and then he would fall back down on the
Dragon
scale,
Balls.
and then the Dragon Balls would jump. Like, how,
How do you come up with it?
it just felt like a dream sequence in a cartoon or something, or like when Homer was like tripping on peyote that one episode.
Oh,
or
that's such a
something.
good episode.
It just like it was
Or when
so-
they go to Duff's World and Lisa.
Oh yeah, she drinks the water.
Yes, drinks the water.
I am the lizard queen.
Yeah, that's the episode. I love that episode. It's probably
That's a
my
good
favorite
one.
Simpsons episode.
Well, and it's that leads me to talking about the creator a little bit. His name is Keita Takahashi, and he
Does
this
a
was
lot
like
of drugs. No, I'm just kidding.
well, he's known for being really strange. Like that's just like his thing. So he created this game as a school project. He was at the Namco Digital Hollywood Game Laboratory, which is like a school for creating new and innovative video games. And this was like his senior project. And they made it for really cheap. It was like $1 million.
Yeah, less than $1 million.
Wow.
And it was like him and 10 people that did it. Took him a year to create it, and then 8 months of beta testing.
Interesting, right.
And it was like people just enjoyed it. It's just an enjoyable game. It's really
Yeah.
simple, and that's what they were going for. I guess he was inspired by Pac-Man,
Mm.
just the simplicity of picking up stuff.
Yeah, picking shit up.
like you do in
A lot of
Pac-Man.
games apparently are about picking shit up.
Yes. But he created another game called Nobi Nobi Boy. And if you guys think that Katamari is strange,
Uh-oh.
Nobi Boy, like, I can't even, like, describe it, because you're like this little worm thing, and he uses that double joystick dynamic again, only in Nobi Boy, one of the joysticks is your little worm guy's head, and the other is his butt, and you pull him in opposite directions to stretch him out, and then he eats all the stuff in the environment, and if he eats too many things, he starts pooping them out.
Oh my god.
Amazing.
Straight with like a noise.
Oh.
And they just fly across the screen. And the whole point is just to stretch Nobi Boy as much as you can, because somehow him stretching transfers his length to a giant worm thing that is stretching to all of the different planets in the solar system.
I'm horrified.
We're all, I mean, if again, the need for video in this episode, because we're all like staring at Megan with these like totally blank, what the fuck expressions on our faces.
I like Cassie's holding her chin and like really like trying to take this seriously. And like
She had me until the worm had to reach the planet.
And it's like I sound like a crazy person describing this game. This is an actual thing that exists.
But it must not have been released like
It was
Katamari.
on the PlayStation 3 network,
Oh, okay.
so it wasn't like a disc. But it was kind of interesting because every person that played and stretched Nobi Nobi Boy, them stretching that dude out contributed to like the giant worm thing. I think it was called Sister. And everybody's
So it was
stretching.
a networked game.
Yeah, it was a network
It was
game.
a networked
So
game.
everybody's
Okay.
stretching added to her length, and they were like doing realistic lengths. It took months to get to Mars.
Wow.
It took years to get to Neptune. It took like 2 years to get to Neptune. Like
But
it
it's
was.
conditional. It's based on everyone's.
It's based on everyone playing. Like in order for
Wow.
her to get bigger, people needed to play. But yeah, I mean, if you guys think Katamari is strange,
I want to be in on. I
Sounds
wish I
terrifying.
could have been a fly on the wall in the pitch meeting for that game.
I know. Like, it's just so strange. Like, he's a very strange person.
Yeah.
He's got some interesting ideas, but he's just strange.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting. He, cheater notes. He had the 4 points about novelty, ease of understanding, enjoyment, and humor,
Yes.
which I think we can all agree it hit
He
that.
hit him.
But-
Yeah.
he hit him.
Yeah.
He hit him.
But he apparently, is it Takahashi? Is that?
Takahashi.
Yeah, he proactively ignored, according to
It makes me
Wikipedia.
think of Beat Takahashi.
Beat
You guys
Ta-
know
what's
who he is.
that?
He's a Japanese actor.
It's an awesome last name.
Well,
I like it's fun
Good
saying.
movies.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, he proactively ignored advice from Namco to increase the complexity of the game.
Yeah, which
So,
I think was a
that's
smart
interesting.
move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I think, and this is something we see in film and TV too, when a studio is pressuring people to add things to their product that doesn't necessarily need to be there, it can really
Yeah.
ruin it. And I think if he had added too much to it,
It would have taken away from the novelty.
yeah, yeah.
Well, and I think the accessibility. I mean, because
Mhm.
again, not all gamers want a super hard technical game.
Yes, there's
Like
that
me.
kind of-
Yeah.
I'll take
I
that.
mean, so I think it would have lost some audience because there are a lot of gamers out there who don't want
Yeah.
the super complex game that they have to invest 8 hours to.
Well,
Yeah,
and that's the beauty of this is it is really easy to just sit down and play it for a couple minutes and then come back to it when you've got some more time, and it
Yeah.
makes it kind of more fun
Mhm.
because you don't get frustrated and sick of it like I've experienced with some other games that I
Yeah.
do still love, but this one's just got fun and it's very
Yeah,
light.
it's like a summer read.
It's yes, it's
It's like a
easy.
summer read.
It's your trashy romance novel. On
There
the
you
beach.
go.
I couldn't find stats on how it did, but apparently it broke records.
And actually, because it was considered a sleeper hit, especially the first one was considered a sleeper hit, they actually sold out of all of the copies they purchased to release in North America fairly quickly, from what I understand. So they, had to make more units and ship them out. And every subsequent game has done pretty well in sales. Like, I don't know the figures, but
Mhm.
I mean, if you're into the gaming industry and you read the websites and follow the critics, they all love the Katamari games. Like they're just fun to play. And like we talked about yesterday, like the mechanics got a little bit smoother and on the PlayStation 3 because they can put way more particles on screen because of a better processor. It's even more satisfying because you can just pick up even more stuff a lot faster.
Mhm.
That do 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 sound it makes
Yes.
you're picking up a lot of stuff.
Yes, we all expressed annoyance when we didn't hear the.
Yeah.
Why am not picking anything up?
And then you hear them all back to back. It's like, oh yeah.
That wasn't a sexual reference. No, not at all.
What other differences are there between the PlayStation 2 versions and the PlayStation 3 versions? I noticed that the art was different. Was that just because it was a different game, or was there better processing for art?
Well, yeah. I mean, the processor allowed them to do a lot of different things on the PlayStation 3. So yeah, the graphics are better. And I think they took the art in just a slightly different direction. The third one is cel-shaded.
I initially did not like, and then I got to see a couple of the other levels.
Yeah,
and it became a little less monotone.
I still didn't like it.
You didn't
I
like
don't know
it?
what that means.
So it looks kind of pencil, like it's drawn with a pencil, more than like a 3D computer generated character, which was something that at the time it came out, I think was kind of the popular art style to go with for games because what was it, Wind Waker? Wind Waker had done that to the ire of many fans, but a lot of people who enjoyed it really like it. Which I actually have never played Wind Waker, and I really want to.
Oh, it's adorable, and it still manages to be like a serious Zelda game.
Check it out. But yeah, cel shading was like a big thing for a little while, and I think it was, if you wanted to change up the art style for something like Katamari, which has a very distinctive look, that was probably a good way to go. I mean, it just made things look a little bit different without completely alienating the look of the series.
I thought it was interesting that when they did like black and white or whatever, when you picked stuff up, it didn't
Well, and
go
that's
into color.
those are the levels where you're trying to help the king regain his memory. So they're like in black and white because he doesn't remember them.
Gotcha.
So as you're picking up items, they become colored because now he remembers it.
Gotcha.
That makes sense.
And those were the levels that we didn't get to in PS2, but they were basically
and those levels weren't in the PS2, the black and white ones. That was exclusive just to that third game because the story in the third game is that he's got amnesia. So you're rolling things up to help him regain his memory.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You're like
There's
in
that
his
story
mind.
you were looking for.
I know.
You're like in his mind.
I
helping
regret
him
asking.
All we
He
do is
doesn't.
help him.
He's a
He's
jerk.
such a jerk.
Oh, goodness.
At least they were consistent. So what was cool was apparently Katamari. I guess there were some people who claimed that it wasn't art, and there's that whole discussion of like video games versus art. And
I think if you're going to make an argument against a game being art, Katamari's one of the ones to put up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I only read this briefly, and I was looking for news, but apparently they were at Katamari was featured at MoMA in New York City last year, which is cool for the Century of the Child Growing by Design exhibit. And it was supposed to be like supposed to focus on, I guess, developing and designing specifically for children. So I thought it was pretty cool that it made it into that, because that was where the question came up. But first of all, are video games art? Mm-hmm. And of course there have been arguments for and against that. But also just Katamari, which apparently had this question of, is this really a good video game or not?
Well, like, they're having a video game exhibit at the Phoenix Art Museum coming up.
Yep.
Like,
I think it started already.
Yeah.
No, it starts June 16th.
I went on Wednesday and
Yeah.
it wasn't up yet.
Oh, okay.
Much to my distress. And so like, I think video games are art.
Oh, absolutely.
And Katamari
Well,
definitely would be.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, there are times at which film has been questioned as to whether
Exactly.
or not it is art.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
It's really
that
subjective.
debate about what constitutes art has been going on for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree. I mean, I'm an inclusive individual, so I think it's all freaking art.
Yeah.
Well, and that goes back.
Now,
to
some of
the
it's
whole-
better art than others.
That's true. But that goes back to like traditional artists have a certain view of things, and film artists have a certain view of things. It's people, just trying to create competition and make them
Trying to
You're
categorize.
arranging things to make them look good and pleasing and to get some kind of emotion out of people. That is art.
That's art,
Mhm.
yeah.
I
Some kind
don't
of
agree.
reaction.
No, I agree. I don't argue. Oh my god.
Oh,
I
you
said
said
that
I don't
backwards.
agree.
argue.
We're like, what?
Yeah. No.
I was like,
I totally
you just
don't
said
argue.
you agree.
Yeah, no, I do. I totally.
Yeah,
I
no,
totally
yeah,
agree.
for
I'm
that-
very inclusive.
Yeah,
in
I
that
think
sense.
there are certainly things where you can look at something and be like, well, the motives behind that art were askew, or
The motive behind that art was purely monetary.
exactly, yeah. So I mean, but at the same time, we can't. I don't think we as humanity can afford to be like assigning what's art and what's not.
Yeah.
And I am looking forward to seeing that exhibit at the Phoenix Art Museum. Artcade, which did anyone?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you went.
Yeah.
Very cool. It's just down the street from the Phoenix Art Museum, and I guess they will have their what are they called? They're arcades. They're
Okay,
arcades
the
that were
cabinets.
designed. Yeah, the cabinets that were designed, they're so cool. If you get a chance to see them, some of them will be on display at the Phoenix Art Museum.
Oh.
But many of them are actually property and will be back at Artcade, which is at
Parasol.
Parasol, yep.
On
Parasol
Pearson
Studios.
6th Street.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very cool place. Very cool idea.
I'll have to check
We'll
that
all
out.
have to check it out.
Also, we know that that he was trying to communicate something with this game. Like, didn't you tell us that you had some kind of like
Matt-
weird message?
Matt mentioned something about like an anti-establishment, anti-waste message, but I couldn't really find any supporting data on
Evidence,
the
yeah.
internet. I
Me
wanted to.
rolling up all of the stuff,
The stuff,
the
like,
extra
all the
stuff
things,
that we
all
have.
this stuff.
And one of
Yes.
the videos, when
Yeah.
they talked about putting it up into space, it was a
Yeah.
throwaway line. I was like, oh, that kind of reminds me of WALL-E, which was very,
Yes,
very
yes.
clearly an
An
anti-waste
anti-waste, yeah.
message. So I was like, oh, I wonder
Yeah.
if that's what. But it was a throwaway line. Never visited again when we were talking in like a serious capacity. So I can see how that argument could be made.
Yeah. Well, and if anyone out there listening knows anything about that, point us to where we can read more about it on the interweb. We'd love to see more about
check
it.
it out.
Yeah. So, let's talk about the drinking game for Katamari.
Never
Which
play
we-
Katamari sober.
Yes,
yeah,
well,
I
we-
think that
we-
unless you're a child,
Unless you're a child.
because this is a child-friendly game.
If you're a child, drink lots of chocolate milk.
Drink lots of
juice.
If you were,
drink lots of juice like Buster Blues.
oh my god,
I'll hike up on the
candy,
juice.
Star
Starting to
Piper.
be off the.
oh my goodness.
But I
Yes,
think
we
yes.
were drinking Red Stripe. If I recall.
Yeah.
Yes. Some good drinks. So, who wants to start?
Anytime there's a drug reference, take a drink.
Don't a sip of your beer
A
because
sip,
otherwise,
yeah.
oh my god.
I only have one rule where I wrote down a shot because I thought that you would be drinking so much while playing.
Yes.
So my one shot rule is Royal Rainbow.
Well, that's a
That's a good one.
I
Smart.
say, obviously, sexual undertones. You take a sip.
Yeah.
And take a drink every time the king calls the prince something mean or
Aw.
demeaning.
I put anytime he passively aggressively insults the
Insults.
prince because he's very passive aggressive at times too.
He is.
Very
He is.
backhanded.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, backhanded. That's a good way.
Mine was take a drink anytime you catch your friends dancing the Little Prince.
Oh, they should have to drink too.
Yes,
Yes.
you both have to
Both
drink.
have to
Yes, you both have to drink.
Oh, I did have another shot rule, and it was if you really piss off the king, because there's no mistaking if
When
you
he's
have
really
pissed
pissed
him off. Yeah.
Okay.
And you should be drunk, to cope with that.
Yes. That was my thought
Very
behind it. Is
healthy.
it a coping mechanism? Yes. Oh, there's so many bad
Worst
things about
father
it.
ever.
Nope.
Did you have any others, Brie?
I had the first time you pick up an animal, you do a shot.
Oh, that's
Oh,
good.
that's
Because-
good.
And I think
It's
like
exciting.
yeah. I wish I'd come up with like a shot recipe for it, like something special.
But
I
I still
didn't.
can.
Is there a drink called Hair of the Dog? We could have
Yes.
that. Be easy, yeah.
I thought every drink was hair of the dog, or I might just be an alcoholic.
I think I should just threw that.
Hair of the Dog. No, you're right. I wonder if there's a specific drink.
Is it a hangover?
No.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
that was
right.
a
The Hair of the
hangover
Dog
It's
is
a
like.
hangover remedy.
Yeah. So every time the first time you pick up an animal.
Your
Nice.
first animal that you picked up. I was just so excited to finally be able to pick up an animal.
There is a sense of accomplishment when
There is. Or when you pick up a person. Like, I remember I was so excited, like, I want to pick up people!
Then she took out a whole family.
Yeah, I was gonna say we learned a little bit about Megan
Oh,
yesterday.
we didn't. There's a guy that you pick up. I don't think you saw him. There's a guy when you roll him up, he goes like, bim, 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 bim.
I feel like I heard that at some point.
It was like the noises that people and things make when you roll them up are brilliant.
Mine were all about catching other people do things. So
Yeah.
the dancing, and then when you catch your friends starting to sing along.
Ooh,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, we'll have to go back and talk about the soundtrack in a minute.
Oh,
I
I
wanna-
meant to ask about that.
I want you to put in some of you singing because
Oh,
you have
I-
such a cute voice. And
She's
I want
like,
you to
no.
put in some of
I'll
you
put in
singing
some
along.
of the soundtrack. I will not put in some
Oh.
of the...
Yeah, play some of the you singing in the soundtrack below.
Yeah, I joined in, so you can pick
there
one
you
with
go.
both of us
There
if
you
you
go, yeah,
want to.
be a duet.
One of my rules was take a drink whenever you're distracted by the King's package.
Oh!
Alice and I would be
Sarah and I would. Oh, that would be
You
bad.
can't not look at it when it's on
Yes.
the screen.
Well, when it was brought to
Well, and you know, he's like right there.
No, he's
The
not.
little
He's way
print.
lower.
His package is bigger than the prince.
Basically.
way
This is
bigger.
true.
Way
No,
bigger.
I want to know. I want to know how those two big parents came up with that little tiny guy.
Yeah, right?
Well, all
Okay.
of the cousins are very small like that. I don't know if they just grow up and get to be that big or what.
I mean, imagine they must hit a growth spurt. I mean,
Well, it's like
They
lining
might-
up
it's
to
probably
Katamari.
litters.
Okay.
They
I
just have a
no
bunch
idea.
at one
Litters.
time.
Litter.
Litters, yeah.
Yeah, no
Yeah,
problem.
where do the cousins even come from? Like, there are no other adults from what we can see.
Yeah.
It's
I
a
just
lie.
consider them like Care Bear cousins.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Quote
yeah.
unquote cousins.
They're really half brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like bees, where like they eat the royal jelly and then they turn into the queen because they get bigger.
Maybe.
So
I'm
maybe
sorry,
What?
but the royal jelly? Is that what it's actually called?
that is actually what
It
it
is
is
what it's
called.
called.
That
Oh,
was
that's
not me
disgusting.
being me.
In the bees, for bees, it's called royal jelly, and they become the queen.
Yes, when the queen
Yeah.
dies, they gotta replace it.
I'm sorry, my rapper name is gonna be Royal Jelly.
What a jelly!
She's got an album called Honey.
We're all gonna
Oh,
come
yeah.
up with our own weird DJ names, and then we're gonna stop introducing ourselves as Megan. It'll be
That
like,
was just right.
This is Royal
Royal
Jelly.
jelly. In the house
Star Wars
tonight.
things that we came up with. You had said, "Oh, you'll be Senate Vernacular."
Yeah. Senate
And
Vernacular.
you'll be Royal Jelly.
There you
go.
From now on, I'm going to be introduced the podcast.
Awesome.
There you go. I said it vernacular.
Any
Um,
other drinking game rules?
One, and then of course, you know, we'll try to come up with some more to add to the site. But I've got one that's when the king talks for about 3 sentences too long or repeats himself.
Oh my god. Oh.
That's happened.
Yeah,
I
that's
feel like I
crazy.
hit X. I'm like, okay, I'm ready. X, ready. X. Nope.
You'd be like
nope.
this. You'd be like.
And then you're ready for the next round.
I think my last one was, and I don't know if I should put this out there or not, but take a drink if you have no idea what's going on.
Yes! A long one.
Yeah, so
probably
people
help.
do that early on,
Yeah.
and then much later.
That's right.
No, I'm going to be so drunk the next time we play this game.
I want to talk about the soundtrack, and it will probably
Yeah.
be a very brief conversation, but soundtrack's awesome.
It is fun. It is very catchy, and you cannot help but find yourself singing along with the songs. Embarrassingly so.
Mm-hmm. I'm playing it in my head too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
La 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 la. It's great music.
Yeah.
And in the third one, it's all of the same music. It's remixes of the now classic Katamari music. But
I'd love to do just a little bit of research into how these scores are made because it reminded me of a game that I don't play, but that my sister played, which is The Sims, where it's almost like there's some element of engineering where they take what people are really singing and they kind of like feed it back, and so like some of the songs sounded like you said, they would throw in random English words in there.
well, and that's
and
just
so-
Japanese culture.
Right,
Yeah.
and so like The Sims seemed to have that to some degree, where it was like the background music was not quite identifiable, but there was something about it that seemed like it was played with. So it'd be interesting to talk to someone who's worked with music and see
Right.
what they do to make it different and
I
not
never
identifiable.
understood the appeal of that game.
It's you get to play God. People like to
I
play
always
God.
cheated. I always got unlimited money and then made mansions and trapped
Wait, so now,
people in
and I also get
rooms.
them confused, because is this The Sims where you play a person? No, this is a different one. So which one is
The Sims is where you create your world, you create the characters, and they have to live and
Mm-hmm.
And
operate.
you create dramas, make everybody
Yeah.
fall in love with each other.
Mm-hmm. And so
Yeah,
different
for
scenarios
sure.
happen where you can go A or B, and you pick one, and that. And sometimes things happen like the first time I ever played, a satellite dropped from the sky and killed.
What was the one with Sims in the name where you like play a person and you have to have a stupid job and
That's Sims.
Yeah, that is The Sims.
yeah, okay, I do that in my real fucking life. Why the hell would I want to do that?
Well,
in
no,
a
I
video
destroyed
game?
their
I mean,
lives.
seriously.
Yeah, the point of The Sims
You're
is
controlling.
to destroy their lives.
No, you don't try to destroy it unless you're sadistic.
I think most people
Sometimes
who
you
play
try
The
to
Sims
make
are
them
successful.
successful.
you try
but
to-
mostly you
Well, it's-
destroy
I think
families.
there are two two different camps. There are people who destroy, because ultimately you have control. You have control over
You're manipulating a world in a way that you can't manipulate your real life.
I
Trust
never
me,
got
I've
the
never
appeal.
I didn't play it long. I don't play
Never.
much, very long. But yeah, it just definitely made me think about that, about music. So I'd like to...
I'd rather play Diablo.
Yeah.
Click, 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 click. Sorry, that's how I play Diablo. That's how everybody plays Diablo.
Nice.
Okay.
Oh, I wanted to ask about the name.
Yes, I have a translation.
Oh, good.
Katamari, is that a word? And Damacy, is that a word?
Yes. So Katamari, they're both Japanese words. So Katamari means clump or clod, is what Wikipedia said. And then Damacy means soul or wit. So Katamari Damacy translates into clump spirit, and it's meant in kind of a way like school spirit. So when you think about the game, like you're clumping with spirit, and that's Katamari.
Yeah, it is Katamari. Actually, it's
It's
very
the game in
very
two
accurate.
words. Yeah, very accurate. Yes, clump spirit.
yes.
I like the original title for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah, and all the
Katamari
rest of it.
Damacy
And
sounds
I
cool.
think everywhere else they kept the word Damacy in the title usually, but in America, for whatever reason, they dropped the Damacy. So it became We Love Katamari.
Right.
Whereas everywhere else, I think it was We Love Katamari Damacy.
That sounds cooler.
Because the actual ball is called the Katamari.
Right.
And I guess the act is Katamari Damacy.
Yes.
Thank you.
Japanese words. Fun! Japanese is a very interesting language.
Yes, it is.
I'd like to spend more time studying and learning. It's a very
It's an awesome
strange-
vowel system.
It does.
Way better than ours.
And 3 different alphabets, and if you can read some Japanese, you can read about 60% of Chinese. So that's kind of a bonus about the language, because they use Chinese characters as part of their alphabet. So
Because, like most places, there's a lot of
lot
warring
of-
and taking of
yeah.
other people's shit.
a lot of crossing over
Fair enough.
there. So, well, I think that does it for the Katamari episode.
Katamari episode.
Thank you so much, everybody, for listening.
Absolutely. If
Yay.
you played Katamari or have a Katamari party, we would love to hear about it and see some
Yeah.
pictures.
Yes,
And we'll post our
share,
pictures. too.
share your pictures.
Oh my
We've
gosh.
got some-
Or if you've cosplayed, please share your pictures.
Yes.
that would be brilliant. I gotta say, all of the Katamari cosplay I've ever seen has been very good. It's
Yeah.
always been very good. So yeah, we want to see your Katamari cosplay.
I look
Nice.
forward to seeing me as King of the Cosmos next year.
I'll be your queen.
Oh, yes.
Yay!
I'm gonna steer clear because I don't like mean people.
You can be the prince. I would totally.
that
be the
would
prince.
be setting her up for more.
Oh, you're right.
More views. I'm gonna have all kinds of issues to talk about on the
Bring
podcast.
one of the dogs, and one of the dogs can be the prince.
They
Oh,
There you go.
Somebody should dress
Put
as
a
the
little-
ball.
Yes.
That's the
No.
Katamari.
Liz, they try to
Your
fit through the
dogs
door.
can be the king and the queen, and your cats can be the prince and cousin.
Yeah. Oh, we could do some of the cousins too,
Oh,
because they're really fun, weird shapes. They're very different.
We've got a winner.
Yeah. So yeah, share your Katamari cosplay, especially if you're a cousin. I don't think I've ever seen any cousin cosplay. That would be pretty cool.
What else do we have coming up?
So coming up, we have a lot of episodes coming up.
Well, yeah, hopefully.
Sarah wrote them down. So we're going to be talking about Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Next episode, we're reading the first book, right? It was a
Yep,
series
just the
of books,
book.
right?
Yeah, it's a series
trilogy
of
of 5.
Trilogy.
Yes.
A trilogy
Okay.
of 5.
So
Yeah.
we're tackling the first book, Blade Runner, the classic science fiction film. Can't wait to talk about that. We're going to talk about season 1 of Stargate SG-1, and I texted Cassie earlier today. Cassie and I are huge Stargate fans, and it's been a long time since I watched it, and
I watched more than my fill when I was really into it. So
Yeah.
having taken years from
it's
watching
looking at the episode list for season 1, I'm just like, I can't wait. And then Watchmen, the graphic novel.
Yep.
Woohoo!
Also Iconica, which I didn't
Oh
write
yes,
down.
and
yes.
we're going to be reviewing a local game called Iconica. Hopefully, some of you out there have heard of it or played
Tabletop
it. Tabletop game. Yes.
Fun stuff.
Yeah. So please stick around. We'll see you guys very soon with a new episode. Woo!
Na, 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 na.